Yeah, hi, Mr. Ishan. I'm Hannah, the Client Relationship Manager from ESTAH Society. So, could you please tell me, can you describe your early career and the path that led to your work in program management and consultancy?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks to the entire forum that, peacefully, I believe that Oishi from your side, she was in continuously touch with me for 2 months, and that make it happen today that we are having this conversation today in this forum, in this context. So first of all, thanks to ESTAH Society, all of you, that you think that to have a conversation with me is something quite meaningful for your work and the way you are thinking in a way. Now, with your question, see, what I understood in my career as a whole is it's a continuous journey. I started this entirely from a survival perspective, might be, but sooner the realization was that what make you feel happy at the end of the day to break your bread should be the priority in your entire ecosystem of doing work, and that is with me for last 10 years. I started for a fact, I started my career as an intern with a film society. Now, film society, if you see in 21st century's context, that's a past experience that no more exists. But in a certain way, because I was in my graduation days, like we all are, very much idealist, rather being a solutionist, and have a very core feeling of watching films, because where my college was 2 kilometers away was City Fort Museum Auditorium, and I think 1.5 kilometers was from there to India Habitat Center, India International Center. So by default, I got a chance to see all interesting films for free in my 3 years of graduation. I mean, whatever time is, and that was the time for the last time Ocean Cinefan Festival, which is a quite reputed international film festival in India, happened for the last time. The last edition of Ocean Cinefan happened at that time. So this was, I believe, this was the starting of my professional career as a whole, because I saw films, I saw good films, interesting films all around the world. I am from Bengal. I'm from Calcutta, is 60 kilometers away from my home, but I never got the chance to see any film for free in London. But in Delhi, I got the chance to see, I think, 150 films for free.
That's a good number.
And yeah, and that's actually create a encouragement or a missing when ocean get over, that I miss something from my life, that is not to watch film at every day evening. And it is not only the film, but also the community. There are people at that time, 10 years back in Delhi, who are the continuous film watcher, and they slept in the auditorium only. Somebody from their side, they worked in PTI once. Now they are no more working. They become, Santeen from the head, and they were doing that only. That association, that conversation, that people, that way of looking things, when that was a missing from the life after the Ocean's 12 days, it was a bigger missing. I was in a depression that, okay, fine, now what? Nobody in the college and nobody among the people, they are not giving me any inspiration of having a conversation.
Already you have been experiencing so many things in rural India, right? Where awareness is not there for the local people, correct? So in this scenario, in what ways can social franchising drive social impact, especially in these underserved areas where there is lack of awareness? How can that be done? I would like to know your inputs on that.
Social franchising you were talking about, I saw that how it can be. What I understood in the entire way of, in the case of intervention, because in our time in post-graduation, there was a big debate was that whether we will identify it as intervention or a movement. And there was two segments. One segment, one form of people was pro-intervention and one was pro-movement. And the debate was continuing for longer period of time. Now there is no course over there, as per my knowledge, that intervention. There are courses which have this movement thing in a way. But keep aside that. Now let's go with experiences. Yeah. When Tagore initiated, and I was just thinking your franchisee question from very beginning from this line only. When Tagore started Shantiniketan, what we tell it? Was it a social franchise, or was it an institution built with an outer face of creating a connectivity, a dialogue between inner and out.
Mhm.
Same with when Savitribai Phule and others, they started their journey on the SHG route. So that entire ecosystem where self-respect, dignity have a connect with knowledge, empowerment, and encouragement. These two examples I put here because what I believe is it is first important to not to understand but to have a one-on-one set of how the community evolve with its own way of looking at things, and where in which part they need the entire ecosystem, which maybe in today's way of franchising, maybe in something in tomorrow's concentration. So that how is always important, and that how have its definition with the process. See, what, when, why is the consequences, but how is connected with the process. And the more you have the connect and concentration with how, you are more connected in the entire journey of ecosystem building. Then the community will by default guide you that what is the imagination of, if it is a franchisee, then what is the imagination, if it is a collective consciousness, then what is the imagination. Like for instance, when in Bihar to start a very non-pesticide based farming was a challenge for Ishtiaq Ahmed when he started with Greenpeace. And how they did is quite interesting. They identified these 10 stations where they performed a nukkar, which is against the pesticide usage. So one of the random villages, random station was Jamui. Jamui station by default, if you people went there, is one of the amazing stations. Just one station back from Shimultala, which is once called as the East Switzerland.
Oh, nice to know.
So yeah, and there are many Bangla films, many Hindi films shoot in Shimultala. There are full that kind of a vibe of outing, winter out kind of place. So now one random station was Jamui, where they did it, and in Jamui there is a village called Kedia, which is not also a revenue village. So one village elder man was, I forget his name, was Yadavji, who visited and who saw the nukkar. Then he went to Ishtiaq Bhai and told him that ऐसा प्रयोग तो हमारे गांव में होता था, अभी बंद हो गया है.
Oh, okay.
And Ishtiaq Bhai got mesmerized. Next, he stationed there. Next day, he visited his village, this guy's village. And he came to know that Acharya Ramamurthy and Tapendu Mazumdar, these two guys who are from Gandhi's Sadbhavna movement and Bhudan movement of Bhabe, they initiated this in the village 40 years back. Nearby of the village, there was that Prayogshala, Jaivik Kheti, Kudrati Kheti and everything.
Oh, okay.
And that became a vantage point for them to start that. Because by default, community knows that what happened.
Yes.
And now to facilitate them is a big task. If you facilitate well, then that will grow.
Right.
And that create the cause rooted rather than anything. I am saying you that is what Ishtiaq did 10, 15 years before with Jamui. What happened in the entire SHG movement, why the SHG movements in Jharkhand got a momentum in 1990, from 1991 to 1996, 1997, 2000. There is no study exists on that, but that is quite important. It is not only about a organization that intervened their entire ecosystem over there, but it is like this, that the housewives from different communities, they are harassed, heckled, and manhandled by the entire ecosystem of rural society, by the feudal output of the society, and they want a watershed. So if you see the connect between the Purani Didis, older Didis, and the people who worked in the grassroots, you will be mesmerized. No one can imagine of. At least in today's context, no one can
All
imagine.
that is lost with time. It was there in the.
So my way of understanding this, and my way of if you ask me to do today, to develop an ecosystem like this, where their community is concerned, where their people are concerned, I believe that their knowledge should drive. If their knowledge should become the primary floating ecosystem, which you should facilitate according your expertise, then it will create a either way around.
So it should be a balance between them and us.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, there should not be something which is a continuous, which is why many of the SRLM state rural livelihood missions become a damn failure, because they think that in a way to give two things or give three things or initiate two things is the deal. That may solve your target, but that may not create any developmental ecosystem for the people who are there.
So next, I'd like to go with another question. So what advice would you give to young professionals who aspire to work in program management and social impact?
Like I mean, Nikolai Gogol said I forgot the quote, but the crux of the quote is that be open for any given situation and try to think it from three step back, basically.
Yes.
That is for program management, at least I think that is the best way to deal with. It is not that you will learn everything. The most of the thing you don't know would be the case, and that's the best. And from there, if you started, that is the best way to try and test and go in a certain way where you are reaching to a point. I can give an immediate example on that regarding like when I was assigned to do a social survey of 17 lakh households in Orissa. I did surveys before that, but the sample size is so big and the players are so big, so broad. I don't have the direct idea that how to go with it. But I was stuck with that problem because there was the ownership of that game, like you said, the manager. And for me, it was like that from X to Y to Z to understand the entire ecosystem first, and then to deliver it with my own understanding, how I understand the things, and then in a certain way can be delivered. And I saw when I was marrying the problem for 18 months at a certain level, after a period of time, it was the dialoguing was started to grow by default and create its own ecosystem, its own country, its own language. So it is always I told anyone with whom I got a chance to have a conversation, it is not the language you are talking is the language, but the language is that what you know, and that should be the threshold point in any of the conversation. Here it is the same. The problem is not the problem, but the problem is that what you feel to be solved, and that's how the problem should be addressed and started to grow with the problem. So that is where I believe, and it works in a certain manner.
Looking ahead, how did you plan to expand your impact in program design and elevation? What future goals do you have, and how did you intend to achieve them?
Yeah, for me, there is no as such planned way of looking things in a certain way. But I mean, with my experiences in various stakeholders, with various stakeholders and various ecosystem, what I believe is that right now one is information and another is capacity building. These are the two parts where my entire focus is to some extent. And in the next way of next course of this, I want to continue on that how a dialoguing can be built up between the both tools and can continue the three of them and the problem, the gap can be resolved. The information and capacity building and the in between a dialoguing. So the entire of my mind is going on that flow for longer period of time. And the in that entire process, what I want to do personally is the dialoguing should be the champion. So the capacity building and information should follow the dialogue itself. So that is the way of doing it. I mean, like, and with that, another set is coming is the commons. I mean, I did a entire program on commons with many of the stakeholders for one of the dialoguing platform that I was curating inside Odisha government STSC department called Mahulful Dialogues. So there also this was the core component of mine, that how to decode commons in today's context. Does knowledge is commons, or is it a common element, or it is an element of empowerment, or if it can become the both common and element of empowerment, how it can go. So that's how it is in my mind, that create a capacity and look community, look individual from beyond the lens. Like in today's context, if you see an individual from the government side, an individual is observed as a bucket of scheme beneficiary, again, which is for me is a derogative way of looking, but that is how it is. Now on the other hand, a community is looking in a certain way of cohort and cluster, which is either complementing in the mandate or not complementing in the mandate, which is again a possible way of not understanding them. But in that entire process, what is missing? The missing is the dialogue from the community, which can create information, and that information can create a knowledge, and that knowledge can create a capacity. So that flow from the opposite side is something which is needed to strike a balance. And I think that is where the focus should be. It might sound a bit insane, it might sound a way of not going to, but it is again true that despite of any of our conversations, 5 of our 5th schedule states where there are a huge forestry exists don't have the PESA rule. 3 of them, 4 of them don't have the PESA rule except Chhattisgarh. This is true. Yeah.
And Ishan, thanks for your wonderful insights and about all the schemes, what you have been working along, and it's fabulous to know like what is happening at the ground level with different communities out. Thank you so much for your time.
I first of all, thanks from my side that you guys with very of your patience listen me in a certain way, and I don't know that whatever I just shared here, is there any context of it in your work or not, but yeah, it is a nice way of having the dialogue in a certain manner. Yeah,
we definitely have it, because we are all working in the same sector but in a different way. It's all the same because we are trying to provide things to each and everyone, right? You are doing it your way, we are doing it in our way, but basically it's all under one umbrella.
One umbrella.
That's what I would like to say.
Much.
And thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you so much, Priya. And it was
Thank you, Ishan.
Thank you, Mr. Banerjee. Thank you so much for inspiring and thoughtful feedback. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day ahead.